Hey, welcome back to Matt's Garage DIY. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Pinty 4 to 12 by 50 EG scope. This is a 3-in-1 combo, complete with a green laser, reflex sight, and of course the adjustable scope. Alright, so we're going to travel back in time, unbox this, take a look at all the individual parts and pieces, and then we're going to take it out to the farm, put it through its paces, see if it holds zero, that kind of stuff. This is a budget scope. If you're looking for a $1,000 scope, you should probably just turn this video off. This is, I picked this up online for about 110 bucks. Realizing what I get, yeah, I'm gonna go out there, shoot it, use it, see how it holds up. Stay tuned at the end of the video. There will be a, I think it's a 10% off promo code from Pinty. Feel free to use it or not. I'm gonna give you my honest feedback on this either way. So let's get to it. My package from Pinty just arrived. Let's open it up and see what it looks like. Hang on a sec. There we go. All right, let's open this thing up. So inside, got some instructions. So it comes with some batteries, a couple Allen keys, little microfiber cloth, and maybe even a couple little cheap targets in there. Good. Next up, the laser scope. All right, so it looks like push button on and off at the back, windage and elevation markers. I think you're actually able to focus this as well, so depending on the distance you're setting this up for, you can maybe kind of tweak that focus of the beam. That's pretty cool. What we got here? This looks like the mounting bracket for that. Yeah, so it just kind of clamps the barrel of the laser, and then you'll be able to attach that to a weaver rail. Awesome. Danger. Do not look directly into a laser. Alright. Got some protective caps for our scope. Now we got the scope itself. Alright. Look at that. So this is the Pinty 4 to 12 by 50 EG. Comes with windage and elevation adjustment at the front. This is your zoom, so it goes to 4 to 12. Nice big lug on that, makes that very easy to turn. And as well, looks like you get some focus at the back. And then last but not least, little battery cap here, green and red, illuminated reticle on the inside. So I'll throw a battery in there and show you what that looks like. But yeah, this is a very, very heavy scope, but looks like good, solid construction. So there we go. And last, what we got here. Oh yeah. Nice little also red and green reflex sight. So we'll be able to take this scope, mount that up on the top, use this adapter, mount our laser on the side. I'm probably going to set all three for separate ideal distances. Going to set my laser for about 20 yards, the red dot or reflex out for 50 yards, and then the scope itself somewhere between 1 to 200. That'll be some fun shooting out at the farm. So yeah, let's put this all together and see what it does. There's a look through the scope. There is the illuminated reticle in the green, and there's the red illuminated reticle as well. So cool feature. Not sure how much I'm going to use that. Might be handy, sort of that dusk dawn type shooting, certainly on the low red setting. But nice, even if the battery dies, you still got the standard crosshairs in there, so not 100% reliant on that. So let's take a look at this laser. Again, windage and elevation. Nice positive feedback. You can hear those clicks, and you definitely get a good feel adjusting that. I'd mentioned initially that I thought this front part being able to turn would potentially focus the beam. It makes absolutely no distance. I tried this at 25 and 50 yards. No change to the beam at all, regardless of where that was turned in or out. So no focusing the beam. What you see is what you get. Not a big deal. On the other end here, takes one of these CR123A batteries. Just drop that in, positive end up. And then you have the cap, screws on the end, nice push button on the end. That does also come apart very easily. As you can see, there's a rubber O-ring on here. Helps make it weatherproof or waterproof. So if you need to replace that at some point in time, very easy or very simple to do that. I'll just put this back together. There's your laser. Now for the mounting bracket, 3 set screws. Initially I was going to mount this on the right side of my scope. I say initially because as I tried to do that, I very quickly found out you couldn't do that. Can't slide this onto the rail from the back because the zoom dial is in the way. Can't slide this on from the front because the windage adjustment is in the way. I have loosened these off and you can actually just kind of force that on. I thought I was very clever and that I'd maybe solved the problem. Then as you see, when I start to put the laser in here, regardless, it still hits on the front dial. So for all intents and purposes, the laser cannot be mounted on the right-hand side. So let's mount this on the left side. Left side, bracket slides on very easily. I'm going to slide the laser right in there as well. And for me, probably going to mount this reasonably close to the front. Still can kind of reach under that scope, but I don't want them to interfering in any way when I'm trying to adjust this. Don't want to be accidentally bumping that. So there we go. Tighten these up. There we go. So you can see on the back side of the laser attachment, front and back is what's actually clamping the rail. This middle strap is what's clamping the barrel of the laser. So after you get you just basically set these front two to adjust your bracket where you want it, and then you crank on that middle one to tighten up the laser. I was surprised how tight I did have to get that, but yeah, now that it's tightened up, it is very secure. Now for the reflex sight, you need a cap right here, screw that off. Battery, same as for the crosshairs, is a CR2032. So you got the choice between red or green for your reticle. As it goes through, I think it's 5 stages of brightness. You can just keep clicking that either way. Go all the way through that. There we are onto our red now. As well, you've got some adjustments for the windage and elevation on the top and the side. And at the back of this, you can, there's a toggle at the back. You can flip through a couple different crosshairs. So I'll see if I can get this set up and show you what that actually looks like looking through the sight. So there's the standard cross reticle. That's more like a circle with a center dot, a standard red dot by itself, a crosshair with a small circle in the middle. So there you go. That's what the reticles look like. I've got this on about a 3 brightness. Of course, obviously my camera's having a hard time focusing on an image of light, but that gives you at least a little bit of an idea of what the crosshairs are. So as we go to put this sight on, I've just loosened off these 2 set screws. Makes that very easy to put this on. I noticed right away you really only have one option of where to put this, although there is, you know, obviously multiple kind of positions or spots on the track. Can't go any further forward or you're going to hit that front adjustment knob, and you start going back any further, you start to interfere with your zoom adjustment or the reticle. So I'm going to mount that right there, basically as far forward as I can without interfering with this. All right. That is pretty cool looking, I must say. So time to put this on the scale. So it's coming in at 1 pound 8 ounces, so that's 24 ounces. So a heavy scope for sure, but very comparable to the Blackhound Genesis, the Athlon Talos, even the Vortex Diamondback and the Bushnell Nitro are all within about 2 ounces of that. So definitely on the heavier end, but not unrealistic. Throw the laser sight and mount on there. That's coming in another 5.9 ounces. And lastly, the little reflex there, 3.9. So when we put this all together, got a total weight of 2 pounds 2 ounces. So quick math on that, that is 34 ounces total weight for your scope. So quite heavy when you have all three attachments, but again, for a little perspective on that, the Archon 4-16 SH4 is even heavier than that, coming in at 37 ounces. So again, a heavy attachment for your gun, but still in the realm of what's out there for scopes. All right, so back out at the farm, got the scope mounted. I have already done some sighting in. Actually, I shot a bunch of this video yesterday. It ended up being kind of too dark. But I did get the laser sighted in. I've sighted that in for 25 yards. The reflex sight I've sighted in for 50, and then the main scope for 100. Providing nice groups, I'm pretty happy with that. I'd say the only issue at this point would be my accuracy or ability to shoot any tighter. Using this on a American Ranch chambered in 7.62 by 39, so it just gives you a bit of an idea of the recoil that will be transferred through to the scope. So let's take a look at these piece by piece. I'll tell you what I like, what I don't like, and we'll kind of put it through a final test and see how it holds up. All right, so first up, the laser. As I mentioned kind of during the unboxing, sort of the initial install of this, laser has to be mounted on the left-hand side because of the windage and elevation knobs on the scope itself. Forces the laser to be moved over here. That also provides another complication. I actually had to give the laser a quarter turn, so the windage adjustment, if I hadn't have done that, would have been kind of in between the scope, virtually impossible to reach and adjust. That being said, these are very nice, nice clicks, nice adjustment on both the windage and elevation for the laser. I've got mine set for 25 yards. If you're just looking for something for kind of some fun plinking or quick acquisition, I think this would do the trick. The other issue I did run into was that yesterday, when I was first sighting this in, bright sun, lots of snow, as you can see. So it really kind of washed out the green laser on kind of any kind of background that I was looking at. But low light, even today, now we've got a little bit of cloud. It's going to show up way better. So that's kind of my thoughts on the laser. Overall, not bad. All right, next up, the reflex. So got this mounted on top. One thing I did find about this, when you're holding it up, you are looking fairly high to see over top of the scope. It's not kind of the nice natural sort of lower tuck down. I did find I had to sort of have a bit of more of a heads up shooting, which a little different for me, but in the end worked well. I can show you, but I did shoot a pretty nice group with that. So windage elevation adjusted with an Allen key. Just got that in my pocket here. Put some green tape on that. Like I said, I'm doing this in the snow, so if I lose that, not going to be great. So that is kind of probably the only thing to sort of keep in mind as far as adjusting that reflex. I found the windage adjustment had really nice clicks. I found the elevation did not. It was there was almost no discernible click, even with you know, kind of really taking my time with that. That's probably the one that I've got. It speaks maybe a little bit to the quality of build that this has. Just keep that in mind. It is definitely adjustable. It seems to hold the adjustment, but the clicks were quite hard to feel when I was setting the elevation. The other issue I found yesterday, again, is probably the brightest possible scenario where we're shooting in snow and it was full sun. I had to have the reticle on the brightest. That being said, even at 50 yards, I was still shooting, you know, like a silver dollar size grouping. So not certainly not terribly detrimental. Just keep that in mind. It's not the brightest reticle that I have ever used. All right, now the scope. Nice focus at the back. Actually, I find all of the adjustments on the scope have nice kind of big knurling or grip. So even when I was shooting yesterday, I was doing this all with gloves on. Still very easy to make all those adjustments, even without taking my gloves off. So focus at the back, and then you've got a dialable 4-12 zoom, and then your windage and elevation. And again, very nice positive clicks with the windage and elevation. Probably of the three, I'm happiest with the scope, both the adjustment and the use of it. And as well as I mentioned, it does have that illuminated reticle if you choose. If the battery dies, not the end of the world, you still have your reticle in there. But some of that low light, you do have an option for sort of the illuminated reticle, which was a kind of a cool little feature. All right, so to put this through a bit of a test, we're going to put 50 rounds through it, see how well it holds those zeros, and then come back and kind of give you my final thoughts on worth it or not. Okay, time for some shoot. All right, test fires are all done. Let's throw it on a bench, see how it holds up. All right, got my test target set up. I'm gonna work left to right, 5 with the laser, 5 with the reflex, 5 with the scope. So here you can see the laser sight has definitely pulled to the right. Maybe those knobs have been moved with me kind of handling the gun and moving it in and out of the house and that kind of stuff. Regardless, not great that it's pulled that far to the side. So I would say with the laser sight, kind of a fun gimmick. You know, you set it up once for the day, probably good to go with that. But I think every time you're going to use that laser, you probably want to be resetting that up. All right, on to the reflex. All right, so red dot at 50 yards, quite happy with that. A little hard, actually, now that I'm shooting these, I see these targets are pretty hard to see the center of with a red dot at 50 yards. That basically just looks like a black circle. So I was kind of guessing where the center was, but nice close group. Really happy with that. So apart from the adjustment issue for the elevation, I'm going to say the red dot seems to hold up okay. Here we are back at 100 yards. Let's see what kind of groups we can get. All right, so there we go. A little high and to the right. Maybe that's partially my shooting, partially the scope. I'm not really sure. A little bit disappointed with that, but again, I can't definitively say whether or not that's just kind of my shooting that was a little bit off. My hunch is that the scope is not really kind of holding the way that it's supposed to. So, quick review of the 3. Laser, fun, but you're gonna have to set that every day. The reflex sight seemed to hold 0 quite well. Very pleased with the way that that held up. So apart from the slight adjustment issue, not really having that nice click feel to it, very happy with that. Lastly, the scope, not crazy about the results that I just got there. I'm gonna say that, you know, for a fun day of shooting out at the farm, it's gonna be just fine. But if you're going for that trophy buck, probably not the scope you want. All right, I just threw a quick adjustment in, and obviously pulled 2, but getting 3 right, basically right in where I want them. So I'm gonna put a few more shots through this, see if it continues to kind of hold what I'm hitting at, and yeah, that'll maybe change my view on the scope itself. We'll have to see. All right, so I did a little bit more fun shooting and then put 5 more back on my original target, again from the 100 yards with the scope. Seems to hold the group nice, drift a little to the left. Again, I'm probably gonna blame that on my shooting rather than anything else. So, considering the dollar value, if you can only afford a $100 setup, I would say this is probably worth the money. It's fun. I'm sure myself and my boys are gonna have a great time fooling around with this gun and the different attachments out here at the farm. If you get one shot for that big trophy buck, yeah, maybe this is not the scope for you. But yeah, if your budget is $100, then I think you'll have lots of fun with this scope. I've got a Bushnell banner that seems to be very comparable to this, and there you go. That's my take on the Pinty 3-in-1 combo scope. Hope you liked it. Stay tuned for my next video. Be sure to click those like and subscribe buttons, and as always, enjoy hearing your comments and feedback. See you in the next one.